Alright, we're live. Welcome to episode 73 of the Pro Go Baduk Weiqi Podcast. I am Xiao Dai.
And I'm Gaza.
Gaza! I have to say, you do sound a bit more excited than last time. Well, we got a packed episode, so let's get right started, Gaza. We're going to talk about the LG Cup and from the quarterfinal to the finalist. Talk a little bit about the Nongshim Cup, and we're starting from round 5 all the way till, I believe, one of the later rounds. There's probably not that many rounds left. And then we're going to talk about a bit about some domestic games in Japan, some titles being determined. A Qingyuan Cup has been determined, the winner. And then we maybe just go to the calendar for a little bit. So that's quite a lot of content here, Gaza. Shall we start with the LG Cup? What's happened?
So when the LG Cup, I believe, took place maybe in the first half of the year.
Yep.
And that was the round of 24 and the round of 16.
Yep.
And so a couple of weeks ago, the quarterfinals and the semifinals took place.
Unbelievable. Yeah. Now, in this, as you said, actually back in May, I do believe, if this data is to be, believed, it's May 29th and May 30th where the first round and second round happened. And in the LG Cup, because for some reason they don't have 32 players anymore. They have a 24-player competition. So the first round was some players get a bye. So basically, the first round consists of 16 players, and the second round also consists of 16 players. But whatever happened, we've got the quarter finalist, and I guess you have to say the most anticipated game of the quarterfinal was Kiriyama versus Jinseo. That's going to be a big one. And
that was actually the
semi-final.
Was the semi-final.
That was the semi-final.
I think the biggest quarterfinal was Xie Erhao versus Shin Jinseo.
Right. So basically, the contestants for the quarterfinals were Han Sun-ju versus Kiriyama, Shin Jinseo versus Xie Erhao, Byun Sangil versus Wang Xinghao, An Songjun versus Myungin. So some big names from China and Korea, and maybe possibly the smallest names are Han Sun-ju and An Songjun, although you have to say they're no slouch either. So, Gaza, I guess given that Kiriyama is now not even number 2 in China, he slipped to number 3. What did you think was Kiriyama's chances of winning versus Han Sun-ju before the game?
I think he was still the favorite.
Okay, sure. I guess maybe it's not a surprise, but Kiriyama actually ended up winning that game. So Kiriyama has moved into the semifinals, which is, I believe, it's the first time in maybe a couple of years it has been this deep in a tournament. So
yes, I believe first time since he made the semifinals of the LG Cup 2 years previously.
Yeah, where he had that amazing game against Sun Jinseo and he lost. That was a very exciting game, I remember. And then we have a big one: Shin Jinseo versus Xie Erhao. They have some history. Let's just put it this way. I think Xie Erhao beat Shin Jinseo 2-1 in the Lanka Cup.
Yes, and prior to that, Shin Jinseo beat Xie Erhao in the final round of the Nongshim Cup this year.
Right. Yes. So and they meet again. Shin Jinseo. How do you put it? Shin Jinseo doesn't like losing consecutive to the same player too many times. So he's actually gotten the better of Xie Erhao here, and it actually beat Xie Erhao.
Yes, and this game was actually reviewed by a professional Korean woman, Do Eunkyo.
Yep.
I don't remember the name of her channel, Baduk. Maybe it's Baduk Life or something like that. But I will link the review in the description because I certainly learned a lot from it. It's very instructive. But essentially, it was basically Shin Jinseo outread Xie Erhao early in the game to get a big advantage, and it was an advantage he never relinquished.
Yeah. So That was I do have some vague memory of the Gifu. I think Jinseo just beat Luzi up very comprehensively there. Now, another big game in the quarterfinal, Byung versus Wang Xinghao. Of course, Wang Xinghao on a lot of ratings is actually rated quite high already. For example, he'd be somewhere around number 2 on this particular ranking, just behind Shin Jinseo. Although the gap between him and Shin Jinseo is about 180 points, so it's almost like 200 points. That's actually quite big. But he's facing Byun Sangil, and I do recall that they also, both of these players also had a bit of a history. Byun Sangil got beaten by Wang Xinghao a number of times in the JAR League, and but in this game, Byun Sangil got a better of Wang Xinghao. So I don't know if you have any comments to make about this game, Gaza.
To be honest, I don't remember this. I don't remember the game.
Yeah. Okay, that's
but
fine.
It could have been just international experience, perhaps, because I believe this is Wang Xinghao's first quarterfinal.
Right. Yeah.
I don't know. I thought it was a little bit of an upset that Wang Xinghao got beaten by Byun Sangil, but Byun Sangil is, of course, the current Chunlan Cup champion, so you can't write him off against anyone.
No. So, of course, Byun Sangil's made the final and won a international already. So looking forward to what he can do in this competition. And then we have Ang Sun-jun versus Mi Yu-ting. And I guess you have to say, even though Ang Sun-jun, I do believe he's sometimes in the top 10 in Korea. He might still be in the top 10. I can't remember.
Yes, I think he's in the top 10 at the moment. Yeah.
Right. Even if he's in the top 10, I guess he does feel like a little bit less of a well-known versus the other players on this list. And he faces a big name, Mi Yu-ting. And maybe it's just that Mi Yu-ting was maybe too good for An Sun-jun. Mi Yu-ting actually won this game.
That's right.
Yeah. So what's now happened is now we have Kerje and Shin Jinseo being drawn together in the semi-final. And that is a huge game. And then we have Byung Sang-il versus Mi Yu-ting. Now, for Kerje and Shin Jinseo before this game, I do believe their record, head-to-head record, is maybe something like Kerje 11, Shin Jinseo 10.
That's correct.
Yeah. So what this means is that if Shin Jinseo wins this one, he's going to tie. And he ties it in quite some fashion as well, because if he wins this one, he would have won, I believe, 5 games versus Kerje in a row?
6.
And if you look at Kerje's record versus Shin Jinseo, maybe early on in Shin Jinseo's career when he's like 18 or maybe a bit I guess, a bit lacking in experience. He's also done some, 5 in a row losses to Kerje. Now his turn is around. He's already on 5. He's looking at winning 6 games versus Kerje. And now let's go back to the ratings again to quickly look at where Kerje is. He's a lowly 9 on this rating. And Kerje used to be top 2 or 3. And he's drop in the rating is definitely very noticeable, and I guess even as a fan, I'm almost thinking that I'm really not expecting Kerje to do much here. To me, almost like if Kerje loses to Shin Jinseo, that's just normal, and I don't know how you feel about that, Kaza, but
I was just looking forward to the game.
Yeah. So the game did happen, and I'm not sure if it's a surprise to anybody, but I think Shin Jinseo led from the beginning to end. Kerje did have some chances, I do believe, but I don't think the game was ever. AI never favored Kerje, I believe, but it was close. It was close.
Yeah, well, it was as you can imagine, for a Kerje Shin Jinseo game, many pros were following it live and commentating on it, and as the pros said, Kerje was never at any point lead ahead, but there definitely were some times when Shin Jinseo was leading and then made 1 or 2 slack moves and seemed to lose his advantage.
Yeah. Now, I do remember on the Fox commentary, they said that the last few moves by Shin Jinseo was like as if he's sleepwalking. Yes, and there was a few times where Shin Jinseo just made really solid moves instead of aggressive moves, and you can tell that Shin Jinseo knows that he's leading, and so he plays all these soft moves and slower moves. But hey, it didn't really matter because he ended up winning this one as well. So it's 6 out of 6 for Kerje versus Shin Jinseo. And given
in the last 6.
Last 6. And so they're now tie 11 for 11. And I guess what's sad, a little bit sad, is that Kerje may or may not get to meet Shin Jinseo that many times going forward in the future, because Kerje needs to qualify for all of these international competitions anymore because he's used up all his points that he's saved up in the past, where he was clearly number 1 in China. So he gets to accumulate a lot of points, which lets him represent China in a guarantee spot for all of these international competitions. But recently, Kerje has had to qualify. And as of today, he's actually playing in a Langke Cup qualifier. He actually won this game, but of course, Shin Jinseo doesn't have to. And even if Kerje gets into a comp, they would have to be drawn together. And so I kind of think that maybe Kerje Shin Jinseo is going to be a collector's item going forward. So
they will definitely, I can guarantee you, they will definitely play each other again.
Yep.
In the future. Perhaps not as frequently as in the past, but they will still be playing each other.
Sure. And
but you are right. Until Kerje gets to the sort of consistency that he had in the late 2010s, it's each tournament. There's no guarantee that both players will meet each other.
I think
we have a question in the chat. Is it safe to say that Kerje is officially washed up? Now, that question has been posed to you, so I'll let you answer it.
Nagasa, I wanna make sure that kids listening to this are not being badly influenced by me in any way. So I'm not gonna say anything that is gonna be disrespectful. Okay, so to the question of whether Kerje is officially washed up, no, because there's no such official designation as such. But if you ask me, is Kerje washed up? Yes. Thank you.
Well, I'll give my interpretation. I don't think he is.
Oh.
I think that perhaps he has already peaked, but that doesn't mean that he's washed up.
Okay.
Someone that I would say is washed up is someone like Lee Se-dol, who is officially given up on Baduk. He's no longer a professional, right?
Yeah.
That's what I would call washed up.
Yeah.
Kerje may not be the type of may no longer be the player that wins one world title every year like he did, 6 years in a row in the late 2010s. But he is still a consistent player. He's still a player that can win world titles. He'd made the semi-final of this LG Cup. Okay, that's not something that a random player does. Even a washed-up player doesn't make semi-finals.
Yeah.
He is still a good player, and he's still worth following for people that are fans of him. But it's obvious. You can imagine that it's hard for him, not having. Like his talent is not getting him the results that it used to be getting him. It must be difficult for him. Obviously, it's difficult for his fans to have lower expectations.
Sure.
For Kerje, but he's not washed up. He's still an elite level player. He's still one of the best players in the world. He's still his play style is one of my favorite play styles. It's kind of unique.
Yeah.
Among the elite professional level, which is getting more and more rare nowadays to have unique play styles in this AI era.
Sure.
He's, like I said, he's still an extremely good player, and he's not, in my opinion, he's not washed up. I would say that it would be kind of disrespectful to say that he's washed.
Yeah. Yeah, very good. Thanks, Gaza. To the rescue of Koje once again. Now, you mentioned something really interesting, Gaza, because you said you really like Koje's playstyle. Now, I have played you offline. I would put you and Koje's playstyle at basically polar opposites. I would say your styles are extremely solid. And Kerje, the thing when I look at Kerje's Kifu, what I feel is that he just tenukis a lot. Even when he's he just plays somewhere and then boom, next move he's somewhere else. It's really hard to catch up, and he sometimes play a lot lighter and a lot less solid than you. So I'm a little bit surprised that you said you like his style. But I guess maybe it's a case of opposites attract.
That's one of the reasons I like his style. It seems so difficult.
Yeah.
It seems like it takes a lot of talent and a lot of understanding, and that's clearly something that I don't have in Go. So I admire playstyles that are different to mine but clearly work.
Yeah, yeah. So it's definitely. So this is Kerje here, looking very handsome. This is Miyuting on the leftmost player is Miyuting. I don't know. He the way he dressed here, it kind of reminds me of Mao Zedong for some reason.
Yes.
Anyway.
Yes, I see that.
Yeah. So that's the semi-final
lineup. We haven't mentioned the other semi-final, Miyuting and Byun Sangil.
Yeah. Well, actually, in this game, Byun Sangil actually won. So what ends up happening? I actually don't remember too much about this game, but so what this means is that it's gonna be an all-Korean final in the LG Cup between Shin Jinseo and Byung Sang-il to be played, I do believe, in actually end of January 2024 till the start of February if we do end up going to the third game. So that's I'm really looking forward to this.
Yes, and it's interesting that this year we had an all-Chinese LG Cup final.
Yeah.
And next year we're going to have an all-Korean LG Cup final. So it's like Korea, they saw their failure in the previous LG Cup and they're responding.
Yeah, it definitely it feels like a resurgence of Korean Baduk. So Byung Sang-il has already won one title.
And this will be his second World Major final.
Correct.
It will be Shin Jinseo's 11th.
Yep. So,
yes, interesting. But they have met previously in international finals and also in domestic finals.
Yes. I think someone posted some statistics saying that in the last 9 times they've met, Shin Jinseo versus Byung Sang-il, Shin Jinseo has won every single one of them. Something like that.
Oh yes, that is true. As of this semi-finals, Shin Jinseo has beaten Byun Sang-il the last 9 times they've played, which is quite incredible considering Byun Sang-il is a world champion.
Yeah, it's quite incredible. I think statistics can't explain it. It must be something else. And also because Shin Jinseo, I believe he's got is it 6 titles or 5 titles now?
5
titles.
5 world majors, yeah.
Like 5 world majors. And so if Shin Jinseo wins this one, he's 6. And he's still so young. So he's within striking distance of Kerje's 8. And, if Shin Jinseo continues this trend, and not copy Kerje's peaking at around 25, I can totally see Shin Jinseo eclipsing Kerje's world title count by quite a few. And Byung Sang-il, he's going for his 2nd title, and I think the only time he's won a international final over Shin Jinseo was in Kuksu Mountains Cup, I do believe.
Yes, that's right, and that was 2 years ago.
Right, and that's typically not considered a world major. So,
and that was actually the last time Byun Sang-il beat Shin Jinseo in a game.
Believe it or not. So, I guess it's fair to say that Shin Jinseo is the favorite here.
He absolutely is. He absolutely is the favorite.
Yeah.
But like you said, it'll be a month. It'll be over a month from now before they play each other. So anything can happen. Byun Sangil certainly isn't out of it.
Yeah.
But Shin Jinseo will definitely be the favourite. Yeah.
100%.
And favourite to win his third LG Cup.
Yeah. And as our good friend who likes to say that Baduk is round, meaning that anything can happen. Last time I thought Shin Jinseo was a favourite in an international final, I had 100 million Fox coins. And by the end of it, I have 0. And that was all thanks to Xie Erhao beating Shin Jinseo 2-1. So I can never be too sure. I don't bet everything on Shin Jinseo anymore. So, hey, that's a change. And that means things can go the other way. But Gaza, now from one Shin Jinseo story to potentially another Shin Jinseo story. But obviously before we get to Shin Jinseo, we're going to talk about the Nongshim Cup, the star of the Nongshim Cup, Xie Erhao. Now, last time we covered this, I think we covered the first stage, which is the first.
We actually, I checked. We've actually covered up the first 7 rounds.
Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So we're up to. So last time we were here, we covered up to Xie Erhao beating Park Jun-hwan.
Yes, for 6 consecutive wins in a single Nongshim Cup.
Yeah. So just a quick recap of what's happened in this Nongshim Cup. The first games were played in October, and it started off with Japan versus Korea, and Japan sent out Shu Chaeyoung, who beat Seoul's Hyunjun of Korea. So that secures Japan at least 1 win. So they're not going to go out with 0 wins this round. And then Xie Erhao came out to play Shu Chaeyoung. He beat Shu Chaeyoung. So that's the beginning of the Xie Erhao show. And then Xie Erhao beat Byun Sangil by half a point. And then he beat Shibano Toramaru. And then he beat Wong Songjin by half a point. And then he beat Ichiriki Ryu. And then he beat Park Jun-hwan. So that's where we're at. He's already on 6 wins. 1 more win and he would have equaled the record for Nongshim Cup. And, dare I say, he might even break the record, because if he does, he would have eliminated the Korean team, because Korea, if you remember the stats, has won 0 games so far, and they have spent 4 players already. So their last player standing is, of course, Shin Jinseo. But Xie Erhao would need to get past his next opponent, Zhengqi, before he can face Shin. And I guess it would be very disrespectful to say, but the moment after Xie Erhao beat Park Jun-hwan, people were already saying that Xie Erhao has 7 wins. And that's because his next opponent is a Japanese player, Zhengqi. So I guess, jokes aside, but Gaza, did you really think that Zhengqi had a realistic chance of beating Xie Erhao, actually?
No. Even for me, who I did not think that was going to happen. I thought Xie Erhao was going to win for sure.
Yeah. And surprise, Gaza, that's exactly what happened. Xie Erhao beat Zhengqi. So what this means for Japan now is that Yuta is the only player left. But it's not so flash for Korea either, because Shin Jinseo is only a player left, and this is the last game of the second stage, the game between Shin Jinseo and Xie Erhao, last game of the second stage. Now, if Shin Jinseo loses this game, that means Korea doesn't even make the third stage of the Nongshim Cup, which will be played in, is it Jan or February sometime, 2024. So, and that will be the first time Korea doesn't even make the third stage. And this
it would be the first time Korea is winless in the Nongshim Cup, and it would be the first time Korea comes last in the Nongshim Cup.
Believe it or not, that's crazy. And so what's happened, Gaza? Shin Jinseo versus Xie Erhao.
Shin Jinseo fought like a desperate person, fought like it was a must-win game, which it was.
Yeah.
He won. He outplayed Xie Erhao.
Yes. So no record making for Xie Erhao. He's not going to get 8 wins.
I just want to mention though the interesting thing though, Xie Erhao was on a 7-game win streak in Nongshim Cups, but the player he was up against, Shin Jinseo, he's actually won his last 10 Nongshim Cup games.
Right, and across three competitions?
Yeah, it's across 3 different competitions, but he hasn't had a loss in Nongshim Cup.
Yeah.
Between them. So his last loss was 4 years ago in Nongshim Cup, that is.
I can't believe it.
So obviously, winning 7 in a row in a single Nongshim Cup is different to winning 10 across multiple.
Yeah.
It really depends on. It's a subjective as to which one is more impressive, but Shin Jinseo was not going to be a pushover regardless of the form that Xie Erhao was in, and now Shin Jinseo is obviously when it seems like whenever he fights for a team, whenever he plays for a team, he seems to step up another gear. Like when he plays, when he's in individual competitions, like the LG Cup, Samsung Cup, and these world majors, sometimes he'll stumble, right? He'll lose and gets eliminated. Yeah. But it seems like when it comes to team competitions, he seems to be even stronger than usual. Like he's won the last 2. He's been on the winning team for the last 2 JAR leagues. Yeah. He won this year's Baduk League miraculously, it seemed. Yeah. He helped his team win the Asian Games men's title. Yeah. And as we said, he's carried the Korean team for the last 3 Nongshim Cups. Yeah. So it seems like when it comes to team competitions, Shin Jinseo, he doesn't let you down. And in this Nongshim Cup so far, he's with his back against the wall, he's won his first game, and he's put himself in a position to carry Korea to victory yet again.
Yeah. And guys, I might have asked this before, but I do wonder what was Lee Chang-ho's record for consecutive wins across multiple Nongshim Cup competitions.
Yes, that's a good question. Lee Chang-ho's record in Nongshim Cup is 14 consecutive wins. Amazing. Across 6 different Nongshim Cups.
That's just crazy.
It's crazy to think about it, and it's almost crazy to think that Shin Jinseo is on 11 wins, is actually close to that record.
Yeah. And
the thing is that if Shin Jinseo wants to win this Nongshim Cup, if Korea wants to win this Nongshim Cup, Shin Jinseo will have to actually break that record.
Yep. And in the chat, Eugene is saying that Shin Jinseo still has a chance to win the Nongshim Cup for Korea. And that is definitely true. And he also mentioned this fact that to win a world major, like a Samsung Cup, you typically need to win 5 or 6 games. And for Shin Jinseo to win the Nongshim Cup for Korea from now on, he needs to beat 1 player from Japan and 4 players from China. So that's 5 games that he has to win. So this is not unthinkable. It's definitely, I can totally see Shin Jinseo winning this for Korea. And that would be an epic Nongshim Cup to look forward to.
It would be, honestly, if he manages to do this, we're speaking as if it's going to happen. It may not happen. He may lose to Iyama. He may lose to one of the Chinese players. We don't know. Yeah. But if it turns out that he wins this Nongshim Cup, it would not only would it be a better performance, like not only would it be better than Xie Erhao's 7 straight wins. In my opinion, it would be the greatest single Nongshim Cup performance ever.
Wow. That's a big call. And also, actually, I just realized what Eugene's saying in the chat is that not Eugene is saying that. It's actually Shin Jinseo saying that in an interview. So Shin Jinseo is saying Korea still has a chance to win. You only need to win 5 or 6 games to win the Nongshim Cup. And that's the same as how much you need to win an international anyway. So I guess Shin Jinseo's got his mind set on this. And it's going to be a fascinating competition to watch. And
yes.
As I mentioned, Japan's down to the last player, so that will be Shin Jinseo versus Iyama Yuta.
Yes, and that will be the next round. The next round will be round 10 will be Shin Jinseo versus Iyama Yuta. Whoever loses, their country will come third in the Nongshim Cup. And then the last 4 players from China will be Zhou Chenyu,
Yep.
Ke Jie, Ding Hao, and Guzi Hao. We don't know what order they will appear in.
No.
It hasn't been announced yet.
Yeah.
But they are the last 4 players from China that Shin Jinseo will have to defeat.
Yeah.
If he loses to any of those players, then China wins the Nongshim Cup.
And you have to say, this is what China has left is a formidable team. And I mean, I can totally see Shin Jinseo not making it. It would be no shame in that. But I can also totally see him just cleaning up. So, but he has to get past Iyama Yuta first. Let's be respectful here.
Yep.
Okay.
Iyama Yuta is good enough to beat Shin Jinseo. He hasn't in his career.
No,
but it's possible.
Yeah, it's possible. And if he does it, he would have created history, because that means Korea would have come last for the first time ever, I believe. Yes.
Yep.
Amazing. So that's the Nongshim Cup. Now, Gaza, let's move on to our next topic, which is, Gaza, do you want to talk a little bit about the Baduk League? I don't think I have a post on this, but yeah.
Oh, I forgot to make a post on the subreddit.
What I can do, Gaza, is I can go to that page on the Baduk League page, or we can leave it to the next.
Let's leave it to next week.
All right, let's leave it to next week then, because apart from the Korean League, so let's look at some domestic competition in.
We can instead of looking at the Korean League, we can look at the Myungin.
The Myungin
in Korea.
Okay. Myungin. Let's look at the Myungin then before we go to Japan. Myungin, yes. So that's the Myungin. So I have the knockout for the.
Now the Myungin.
Yeah.
Is like the Korean version of the Meijin.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because the final. And we won't go through all of the previous rounds, but the final was between Byun Sangil and Shin Jinseo.
Yep.
So this was played about a week ago.
Sure.
So it was after the finalists for the LG Cup were determined.
Sure.
So as we know, the finalists for the LG Cup are Byun Sangil and Shin Jinseo. So just a couple of days after those LG Cup semi-finals, the Myungin final took place. So you could consider this to be a preview of the LG Cup final, because this was also a best of 3.
Yeah.
Now, we mentioned that Shin Jinseo had a 9-game winning streak against Byun Sangil. So Byun Sangil was sort of up against it.
Yeah.
But another way you could look at it is that Byun Sangil was due for a win.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, though, he played like someone who had lost their last 9 games against Shin Jinseo, and he lost, and Shin Jinseo won 2-0.
Right.
So Shin Jinseo, and this was actually they'd met in the Myungin final 2 years prior. In that case, Shin Jinseo won 2-1. So he kind of improved this time, winning at 2-0.
Yeah.
So unfortunately for Byun Sangil, he's now lost his last 11 games against Shin Jinseo, and as is yet to win the Myungin. Whereas Shin Jinseo, he wins his second title. He made the final last year against Shin Min-jun, but lost 2-0. So this time he won it back, winning his second Myungin title. And this is actually, interestingly enough, I believe this is his 35th career title, domestic and international. And that's one more than Park Jun-hwan.
Mm.
So he's won more career titles now than Park Jun-hwan. Park Jun-hwan's on 34.
Right.
Shin Jinseo is on 35.
Yes.
Pretty incredible, considering, Park Jun-hwan has been, before Shin Jinseo, Park Jun-hwan was the number 1 player in Korea for maybe 8 years or something like that.
Yeah. Wow, this is really amazing. Now, of course, you say it's a preview. But if it's a preview for the LG Cup final, then it doesn't look that great for Sangil. Okay.
That's right. Yeah.
So that's the Myungin. Gaza, let's look at some domestic competitions in Japan. So we start off with what's happened today, which is the Kiriyama Cup final.
Oh, the Kiriyama. Okay, let's look at the Kiriyama Cup. So this is probably the biggest non-major tournament in Japan.
Right.
The Kiriyama Cup. It's actually got a larger prize fund than the Judan, I believe, and perhaps even a couple of the other majors.
I think by now it's bigger than Judan. It should be bigger than the Gosei. Oh no, and it should be bigger than the Honinbo even, I think.
Oh wow! Yeah. Can you believe that? Bigger than the Honinbo.
Wow, Honinbo is a bit of a sad story. I think we covered
it. It actually is bigger than the Honinbo.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
Yeah. So, so today it's a one-game final, and today it was between Ichiriki Ryo and Yuta. Who else? They seem to be, the two outstanding players, along with Shibano Toramaru. The final it's probably between one of the three of them, and actually today Ichiriki won this game. So, and guys, did you say that this means that Yama has now lost 3 finals consecutively in this comp?
Yes, he's made the last 4 Kiriyama Cup finals.
Right.
In 2020, he beat Yamashita Keigo to win. And actually, if you look at the image there, Yamashita Keigo is seems to be the referee.
Yeah, that's right.
In 2021, he played Sushawan and lost.
Yeah.
In 2022, he played Hirata Tomoya and lost. Quite a significant upset, that one.
Yep.
And this year, he played Ichiriki Ryu. And he actually lost as well. Ichiriki won.
Yeah.
So, yeah, he's lost the last 3 Kiriyama Cup finals, which probably is a first for Iyama to lose the same tournament final 3 years in a row. Of course, it's impressive. It's shouldn't be looked at as a negative. To lose 3 finals in a row, you actually have to make the final 3 times in a row, which isn't easy considering every game is knockout.
Yeah. So it's a total knockout. So yeah, making a final is, of course, you only have to lose 1 game to not make it. So it's still quite a big achievement. And what's special about this Kiriyama Cup is that the winner will have to take on the Chinese winner of the Nongshim Cup, which is basically the Chinese version of this competition. And this year is Yangdingshin, so it'll be we'll have a game between Ichiriki Ryo and Yangdingshin. And I do believe the last time Japan has won this matchup was Choi beating Fentingyu, if I'm not wrong. So it's been a while between drinks for Japan.
And what year was that?
That might have been 2019 or something. Can't remember, or maybe even earlier. Yeah.
I'll just quickly check. It was 2019. Yes.
Right. Yeah. So that's been it's been a while, and I believe between Choi and the previous winner was a 13-year gap. So something like
not
that.
Not quite. Iyama won in 2015.
Okay.
And that was a 13-year gap.
Okay. So I must have not remembered that one. Yeah, because I think Yama beat Hwang Yun-song, which is so that was the only Japanese win for quite some time. So let's see. I guess you have to favor Yangdingshin there, but Ichiriki is no slouch, I guess. So another set of games to look forward to. Now, 2 more Japanese titles. We got a smiling Ichiriki here. And does that mean that Ichiriki has won the 49th Tengen?
That's right. He beat the reigning Tengen holder Seki Kotaro.
Seki Kotaro, yes.
Seki Kotaro had won the last two Tengens
Yep.
and was not able to replicate the legend Kono Rin and win three Tengens in a row.
Yep.
Um,
And
he beat he was beaten by Ichiriki Ryu, who was the player that Seki Kotaro initially won the Tengen from.
yeah.
So Ichiriki Ryu has reclaimed the Tengen title 3-1.
Yes. And that's why he's so happy. Now, I do remember how big of a shock it was when Seki took the title from Ichiriki. I do also believe it was by a score of 3-1.
It was, yes.
Yeah, and I think Ichiriki, I guess Seki isn't really exactly a well-known player, and I think when he won the Tengen, he hasn't even made the Kisei S League. I think he still hasn't. He's never made a major league. So back then the major leagues were Meijin, Honimbo, and Kisei. So he's done none of those things. And suddenly he just came out and won the Tengen. Not only that, he defended it the next year by beating Ida Asushi.
That's right.
But I guess it's not so lucky third time around when Ichiriki came calling again. Ichiriki now, I believe, after winning this, has now won three titles. Yeah, so unfortunately for Seki, he's no longer a title holder, but I believe he just made the Meijin League. So
yeah, he just made the Meijin League.
Maybe he's in for a chance there. So let's see. So that's the Tengen, 49th Tengen. And now to the 71st Oza, another final. And this time it's the reigning champion, Yuta, versus perennial number 2, Zhengqi. And does Zhengqi overcome his reputation for not being able to win a title this time?
Well, it was interesting because he actually... Zhengqi actually won 2 games.
Yeah.
It's best of 5, and Zhengqi, I believe, well, some sources said he'd only ever won 1 game in his career against Iyama Yuta.
Right.
So he had to win 3 games here to beat him, and he actually won 2.
Right.
To make it, I believe he was up 2-1.
Yep.
After 3 games. And so people were saying, oh, he might actually have a chance. And this would be his first major if he managed to win it. But unfortunately for him, Iyama won games 4 and 5 to win the title 3-2.
Yep.
So Zhengqi, yet again, the bridesmaid. I'm not sure how many times now he's made a title match without winning it.
Probably a few.
Yeah, it's been quite a few. But I'm not sure if I think this is the closest he's ever gotten.
Yeah, and
1 game away.
Yeah,
yeah.
No, I was gonna say I have no doubt that you will make more finals, and let's just hope that he takes at least one chance for his sake. Yeah, and you were gonna say, Kaza?
Yes, but I was just going to say congrats to Iyama for yet again winning the Urza title. I think this is now the biggest title that he currently holds because he doesn't hold the Kisei or the Meijin anymore. And the Honimbo got downgraded, but he lost the Honimbo title anyway. So.
Yeah, unfortunately. Yeah. Okay, so that's the Japanese domestic scene. Nagaza, we got another big one in the Qingyuan Cup. And the Qingyuan Cup, what's happened was that I believe they resumed the competition at the semifinals. And this the 4 players in the semifinal were Fujisawa Rina of Japan, Choi Jeong of Korea, I believe that's Fan Roshi of China, maybe not such a big name, but the next one, the other player from China, Zhou Hongyu, is definitely a big name. So these are the 4 players that made the semi-final.
Yes, and just for reference, the Qingyuan Cup is a women's world championship.
Correct.
Yeah, women's professional world championship. So, Yeah, we're down to the. It was down to the semifinals of this.
Yep, and this is the sixth Qingyuan Cup, and it's by far the biggest prize money for women's competition, I believe. At around five, is it? I think the winner's purse is 500,000 Chinese yuan. That would be actually above some domestic titles in Korea. Yes, so that's a big, probably the biggest women's competition in terms of world majors in the calendar. And I guess unfortunately for China, we have Fujisawa Rina beating Jo Hongyu and Fen Roshi losing to Choi Jeong. So that means it's a final between Fujisawa Rina and Choi Jeong. And the final took place early in December. And now, Gaza, this is I feel there is a bit of a resurgence in Japanese Go, definitely in the women's Go, because Yuano Asami has won the Senko Cup, and now we have Fujisawa Arena making a final of a world major. So and they haven't, Japan have done pretty well in the Hoban Cup, which I hope will return. I'm not sure what's happened there. But what do you think, Gaza, about Fujisawa Arena and her chances versus Choi Jeong in the final, which is a best of three?
Yeah, I think is this the first? I'm not sure if this is the first time Fujisawa Arena has made a final. Is it?
In a world major?
Yeah. Well, yes, in a world major.
That's a good question. I can't remember if she made another one.
She definitely hasn't made the Qingyuan Cup final before, and I don't think she's made the Senko Cup final.
I do believe Yuano Asami making the Senko Cup final was the first by Japanese player, but I'm not 100% sure. So yeah,
yes.
there has never been a Japanese player who made the final of the Qingyuan Cup. So yeah, except for
okay.
So that's a first. Yeah.
Yeah, well, obviously Choi Jeong would be the favorite, but upsets are possible.
Sure, yeah, yeah, and but I guess it's not to be, because Choi Jeong basically cleaned up 2-0 versus Fujisawa Arena. So
right.
Yikes! But still, making the final was already an achievement and a first for a Japanese player. So maybe, Gaza, I'll touch on a couple of news items about Choi Jeong. Now, Choi Jeong also had to face Kim Eunji in the domestic women's Kisung competition in Korea, and I do believe before this point, Kim Eunji has never won a best of N versus Choi Jeong.
She'd never. She won a game of Choi Jeong
Right.
in a previous final this year. Let me check.
Yeah.
What it was.
Yeah.
I think it was the Korea Women's the Korea Women's Strongest.
Right.
But yeah, she won the first game of the final, but then she lost the games 2 and 3 to lose 2-1.
Yeah. But and I guess it's pretty. I guess I would say people were expecting that Kim Eunji to be kind of almost like Choi Jeong's successor in a way, because she is a very, very strong player, and she's clearly just the up and coming player, the most like Choi Jeong in a way, and unfortunately, I believe for Kim Eunji, she lost the first game, if I'm not wrong, or did she win the first game versus Choi
No,
Jeong?
you're right. Choi Jeong won the first game of the women's Kisung.
Yep. However, Kim Eun-shi dug deep, and she beat Choi Jeong in the next 2 games to actually win the competition 2-1. So this is the first time I think Kim Eun-ji has won a best of 3 final from Choi Jeong. So this is one to watch. Kim Eun-ji, because there could be things. Choi Jeong's dominance is maybe starting to look a little bit shaken. But then in the literally a few days later, Choi Jeong played in another final, the women's Kuksu versus Kim Chaeyoung. Choi Jeong but Choi Jeong walked away with that one with a 2-0 victory. I believe Choi
It was
Jeong
actually 2-1.
2-1, because Choi Jeong lost the second game. So
That's right.
Yeah, so this is Choi Jeong here winning the title, and I believe currently Choi Jeong is on 30 titles. So basically, in terms of the titles, Choi Jeong is currently seventh in Korea, just behind Cho Han Hyun, Lee Se-do, Lee Chang-ho, Shin Jinseo, Park Jung Hwan, and Seo Bun-soo. She's on seventh in terms of the most titles won. But of course, many of her titles come from women's competitions, but still a huge achievement to come seventh in this list of players. To be even mentioned along some of the players I mentioned before there, the top six. That in itself is a huge achievement. So congrats to Choi Jeong. Okay.
Yes, it should also be mentioned that Eunji, in winning the women's Kisung, she's actually becomes 9-dan.
Yes.
Gets promoted to 9-dan from winning the women's Kisung, and she set records now for the youngest ever 9-dan.
Wow.
And the fastest to reach 9-dan from turning pro.
Wow. Of any gender. Yes.
Yeah, for any gender.
Yes. Wow.
I think, she's the first player to reach 9-dan within 4 years.
Wow.
Of turning pro.
So she's only 16 at the moment, is that right?
She's 16 at the moment, 16 and a half.
Right.
Yeah. The previous Korean record was Park Jun Hwan, who became 9-dan, I think, just before he turned 18. So he was 17.
Right.
Eunji turned 9-dan at 16.
Right.
And the previous record for fastest to 9-dan was Han Woo-jin.
Right.
I think at 4.5 years, and she did it within 4 years.
Right. So, that's crazy. So I'm not sure who the youngest 9-dan ever before her was. I might have been Fenting Yu.
Yes, well, Fenting Yu from China. In terms of like just international, the youngest 9-dan before Eunji was Fenting Yu.
Right. Yeah.
It's a little bit hard to compare though, because Fenting Yu is from China, which has a different promotion system.
Sure.
To Korea. So I would have to say that Korea probably has the most accommodating promotion system in terms of getting to 9-dan. So in China, it's you would have to argue that it's certainly in Fenting Yu's era, it was a little bit more difficult to get to 9-dan than it is in the Korean system. But still, regardless of the system, it is a age record.
Yeah.
The youngest 9-dan. So.
Yeah. So. Crazy achievement for Eunji. So definitely it's gonna be the next Choi Jeong. She might even dominate the international women's game for years to come.
Yes, I'm hoping that she does move up in the Korean rankings a little bit. I think she's just outside the top 70.
Right.
In Korea. It has been quite a while before someone other than Choi Jeong has been a woman other than Choi Jeong has been in the top 50.
Right.
It would definitely be good to see at least one other woman in the top 50 in Korea.
Yeah.
Preferably more than that, but one more is a start, and Eunji certainly looks to be on track.
Yeah.
For that.
Because Choi Jeong is often in the top 20 in Korea, I do wonder if Eunji has the same kind of potential.
It's definitely it's definitely something that she should be aiming for.
Yeah. Okay. So that's Eunji, huge rising star, and then guys, I don't have anything else to cover. I guess it's time for the calendar, unless you realize I've missed something.
Honestly, I don't remember if we've missed anything. I think we've covered everything that I can think of. Oh, one quick thing.
Yeah.
I think we mentioned it before, but we know that Nakamura Sumire,
Yeah.
the young Japanese woman, will be moving to Korea next year.
Sure.
I believe that she hasn't done it yet. I believe that firstly she will defend her women's Kisei title,
Right. Yes.
and her challenger has been determined for that.
Yeah.
It will be Yuno Risa,
Yes. Yes.
who's actually Yuno Asami's sister. And the crazy thing is that it was the two Yuno sisters played each other in the challenger final. Yuno Risa versus Yuno Asami, and Yuno Risa actually won.
Yeah.
She
Crazy.
beat her older and more accomplished sister.
Yes, that's crazy. So yeah, so that's the two of them pictured here, taking a photo. They do look alike a bit. Yes.
I'm not sure if I can see the photo because I think you saw it on the calendar. Ah, there we go.
Yeah, there we go. Yes. Okay. So,
Yes, so that's Yuno Risa on the left. So
Yes.
she's the one that will be challenging for the Kisei. On the right is Yuno Asami.
Yes. Okay, so that's them. Now Gaza, next week, well, actually ending this week, as I mentioned earlier in the podcast, the Lanka Cup Chinese prelim is happening right now, and that will continue on next week into the 27th. But then I do believe from the 29th and on the 31st, and also all the way into the new year, 2nd of January, we have the MLily Cup quarterfinal, maybe all the way till semi, if not the final, I think. Yes, it'll be the quarterfinal, the semi-final, because the semi-final is also a best of 3, and I guess the final will be played some other time. So, and that will be on the 29th and 31st of December, and the 2nd and 3rd of January. That's the MLily Cup, one of the world majors coming back. And just remind you of the lineup, the quarterfinal. Maybe it's not as exciting because it's an all Chinese quarterfinal, and it will be between Deng Yifei versus Gu Zihao, Liao Yunhe versus Miyu Ting, Liu Yuhang versus Xu Jiayang, and Tan Xiao versus Li Xuanhao. And yes, as you can see, no Keje. So that will be returning, and a new, world major will be decided. Mind you, Miyu Ting has won the MLily Cup twice in the past, and he's still in it. Li Xuanhao has made one international final. He was the hottest thing on the planet a couple of years ago, or maybe last year, but he's now back down to earth. But he's already made one final, so he's still in it. Of course, Gu Zihao is a big name. Deng Yifei has won a world major before as well as Tan Xiao. So still very interesting games going on, and I am also really looking forward to it. But maybe less so than one where Jinseo still remains.
Well, Jinseo lost, so
oh wow, tough luck to Li Xuanhao, I think. Yeah.
Yes, I mean people should be supporting the quality Baduk, not the players.
Yeah, okay.
In my opinion,
sure.
I just do want to say that I think Zhu Xiaoyang is incredibly tall.
Wow, relatively, but you actually don't know, I guess. Okay. I can definitely say that Gu Zihao is actually stick thin.
Yeah, I do want to say it is interesting to see that these are the final 8. There are definitely some familiar names like Mi Ting and Gu Zihao, but to have no Shin Jinseo, no Keje, no Wang Xinghao, quite unique.
Yeah,
but it is the MLily Cup is a fairly unique tournament, having 64 players. I think it's the only current world major with 64 players.
Sure, yeah. And it runs every 2 years. And also, no Ding Hao, no Park Chung Hwan, no Yang Ding-shin. So, hey, anything can happen. Okay, so Gaza, that wraps up this episode. And I guess it's time to say goodbye. And we've done really well. We're just under 1 hour. Yes.
Oh, thank goodness for that.
Yeah.
Thanks to everyone that watched. Have a Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Hope, yeah. And hopefully we'll see you next week.
Yeah, yeah.